Hello everyone, welcome to Placement Grid. Today the whole world is generating millions of gigabits of data, and this has brought a huge surge in the number of data analyst jobs in the world, as well as has made the data analyst related masters very popular. Today we are in conversation with Pawanjit Singh, who will take us through the details of the data analytics masters courses offered by three North American universities: Duke Fuqua, Carleton School of Management, and University of British Columbia. In case you are interested in these data analytics courses and want to apply to these universities, click the subscribe button and continue watching this video.
So the business analytics program is a relatively newer program that has come up in the last 6 or 7 years with the bloom of big data, and it is administered by the business schools and in collaboration with the tech schools. So that it basically amalgamates business foundation courses with advanced analytics concepts to help you basically solve business problems by harnessing the power of data. The kind of coursework that is included, it's generally only 1 year long in all US and Canada universities. You also have an option of joining part-time, so it's a 2-year course then, but then you need to be employed in the US to be eligible for that. Apart from this, there are a lot of options that are out there in the market. I think from what I came across, there are good MSBA programs on the East Coast as well as the West Coast. But then your choosing criteria then boils down to the MSBA program ranking versus the business school that is administering it, the ranking of that. But majorly, firstly talking about the curriculum, it's spread out over 3 semesters in most schools. So you have the summer, fall and the spring semester. It starts off by covering your basics in statistics and basics in programming. So they introduce you to concepts like calculus, differential equation and integration, stuff like that. And they also cover R and Python specifically for data science. And once your basics are in place, they then go on to have core data analytics courses wherein you have machine learning concepts, data mining concepts, deep learning concepts, as well as different business foundation principles. So you can study analytics specifically for supply chain analytics or customer relationship management, marketing analytics, accounting analytics, stuff like that. So different universities have sort of different program structures. For example, at Fuqua, Duke Fuqua MQM, you can specialize in 4 tracks. We'll cover that on later. In other universities, they cover all of the breadth, so you don't really have any electives to choose from, but they'll cover all the business foundations that are applied in analytics. So the last semester in almost all universities comprises of a capstone project or a real analytics consulting project, wherein the various business schools have industry partners. So the real world clients sort of a thing, they collaborate with the business schools, and students form teams to help them solve any business problem that they might have. So you form a cohort and you set out a business problem very exhaustively, and you have client side meetings wherein you conduct data collection exercises, and you also set out the different objectives of your consulting project. This is also a good opportunity for students to interact with real clients and sort of impress them or earn some brownie points so that they may also offer you a job opportunity after you have graduated. And in specific, we'll be covering 3 universities, which are the Duke Fuqua MQM program, the Carleton School of Management MSBA program, and the University of British Columbia MBAN program. So in terms of the comparison of these 3 universities, the Carleton MSBA program, I think in recent rankings, ranks at 5th in the US by QS 2020 MSBA rankings. So that is pretty high. The Fuqua MBA, as we know, is pretty world-renowned, and since the MQM program is also administered by the same school, it is as a brand, it's recognized worldwide. So it's also a pretty great course to be a part of. In terms of British Columbia, it is also quite high in the rankings, but it poses a special benefit in terms of long-term settlement. If you're looking to work abroad and settle down abroad, then British Columbia is a great option because it also offers an expedited or an accelerated route to a PR, specifically for British Columbia province province in Canada. Students who graduated from UBC, University of British Columbia, are eligible for applying to the PR within 2 years of employment in a relevant, highly skilled job environment. So these are sort of the pros and cons of the 3 universities that we're going to be talking about today. So in terms of the application requirements and procedure, all universities have very well laid out in a detailed manner the exact eligibility requirements. They majorly are the following. First, you need to have a equivalent of a 4-year degree. Second is that you need to have a very strong quantitative background. So you need to have taken statistics and calculus courses in your undergrad. If you haven't, then it's okay if you've earned a certificate on Coursera, edX or Udemy. They accept those as well. The third is that you need to have a strong programming background as well. So if you've covered any programming languages like C, C++, Java, Python or R in your undergrad or in your WorkX as well, that is again a good thing. But these are the general requirements, that you need to have a very strong quantitative background. Otherwise, you're not really eligible, because this is a very specialized master's program. After this, the general application procedure remains similar for most universities. I would encourage you to apply in the earlier rounds. Those are called the early action or the priority rounds. Most of the students are admitted in those round 1. The deadline for those is basically around October end. So for Duke MQM, it was 21st October this year. For University of British Columbia, it was 30th October, and for University of Minnesota, it was 1st November. Now, the advantage of applying early is that firstly, there is a higher chance of you getting an interview and impressing the admissions committee. Second is they also prioritize students who applied early on for scholarship opportunities. So there is quite an opportunity for you to save up on a lot of money. Now, getting to the specifics, the requirements are pretty standard. So you have to submit your GRE or GMAT scores. You have to also take TOEFL. In some colleges, you have a TOEFL waiver, a TOEFL or IELTS waiver, if your official language of instruction in undergrad was English, and it should mention so on your transcripts. Then you are exempt from taking your TOEFL or IELTS. Otherwise, you have to take it. Otherwise, if you have worked in a country where English is the native language for 2 or more years, then again you're eligible for a waiver for TOEFL. Otherwise, it's important that you take TOEFL, and otherwise you won't be considered for it. Then after GRE, GMAT and TOEFL, which is the English requirement, you have your LORs. Some universities require 2 LORs. One has to be academic and 1 professional, or it can be 2 professional if in case you have 3 or 3+ years of work experience. That also goes. And in terms of, you also have a lot of SOP essays. So for Duke specifically, we had 3 essays this time. One of them is the career track essay. So the structure at Duke is such that you can specialize in a particular track. It can be strategy, marketing, forensics or finance. I had chosen strategy. So the essay, the first question basically goes like, what is the preferred career track for you for the MQM program, and how does it relate to your immediate post-graduation goals? So you have to basically speak about why you're attracted to or opting for a particular track, if you've done the right background, if you have the right background for it, and what you hope to accomplish after graduating. The second essay is the 25 random things essay, which is very unique and very different and something that can seem very intimidating at first. But it's basically you have to mention any random, funny, quirky 25 facts about you. You'll find a lot of hints and other samples on the Duke blog as well. A lot of current students, alums and admission committee members themselves have laid out their 25 random things that they had put in during their application cycle. So you can get a good idea there, but I would suggest you to take your own time and not get intimidated by it. Anything that you can think of that is not wildly inappropriate or vulgar, that you can try it on your application. It also helps to speak with your friends and close family members if they remember something funny or unique about you that you can mention. It can be absolutely anything. It can be dead serious. It can be about your likes, dislikes, passions, your habits, your experiences, anything goes. So that is pretty fun. And the last is how, based on your experiences, passions and preferences, how you would contribute to the community at Fuqua. So Fuqua is very student driven. They have a spirit the term that they use is Team Fuqua. So it thrives off of collaboration and inclusion. So they are looking for people who are self-driven and who try to involve themselves a lot in the community. So that is another essay, the third essay, about how you would contribute to the program at Fuqua. And I think once all your SOPs are done, your LORs are submitted by the deadline within 3 or 4 weeks. They send an invite for the interviews, and we can cover that later on. For Minnesota, they ask 3 questions in the SOP. They are basically relating more to your career aspirations and motivation. So they specifically ask you what your long-term and short-term goals are, why Carlson School of Management specifically, and how you would contribute to the program. So pretty standard 750 word limit, and you can talk about your underlying motivations, why Carlson specifically. There is a lot of information on their website. The Carlson Analytics Lab is pretty amazing in terms of the kind of projects they do in collaboration with, for example, Mall of America, with the startups and government organizations in Minnesota as well. So you definitely read up on the profile of the projects there. You can get good ideas about why you would want to go there. And British Columbia also has 2 essays. In fact, one of the essay topics was, in your own words, you have to describe how pure data science differs from analytics in a business context. They basically want to know your level of awareness and understanding of business analytics and why you want to get into it, and how you're able to differentiate between data science roles as opposed to how analytics is utilized by organizations to drive business decision making. And the second essay is general, why you want to pursue your MBA, MBAN, and why UBC Sauder specifically. The interesting thing about UBC Sauder application is that they have a video essay component. So the question this time was the piece of advice that has impacted you the most. What is the best piece of advice that you have used, and how have you incorporated that in your professional and personal life? So it's a 1 minute to 1.5 minute video that you can self-record. They are not looking for professional filmmakers, so focus more on the content, and that is an interesting part of the application. And also, I missed out earlier on Minnesota. They also have a video essay component, but you do not know the essay prompt beforehand. So they follow a system which is called a Kira video talent essay. So they give you around 10 to 30 seconds to prepare for a 1 minute answer. The questions can range from situational and behavioral and motivation line and underlying motivation to imaginative questions. So a lot of the questions are like, how would you explain the internet to somebody from the 18th century? How would you explain social media or Facebook to your grandmother? So questions that would test your presence of mind and your ability to think on your feet, as well as trying to understand your motivation through your own words rather than looking at what you've written in your essays. So it's nothing to be intimidated by. You can look at a lot of these questions online as well, just to get a brief idea, and you can practice before you actually take these video essays. So yeah, that's about it specifically in terms of the essays for these 3 universities. So in terms of the average GRE, GMAT scores or your average GPA, the MSBA program doesn't command that high scores, primarily because they focus on relevant work experience more. That said, it's not that if you don't have the required relevant work ex, you won't be admitted. They still try to keep the class batch very diverse. So provided you have a degree in arts, undergrad in arts, economics, or commerce, and you have taken relevant courses, online courses in statistics and programming, introduction to programming, you would be eligible to apply as well. The average scores vary for various schools. For Fuqua, I think it's the average GRE would be around 323, 24. For MSBA at Minnesota, Carlson, and UBC, I think they're like 320 if I'm not wrong. But these numbers are not very reflective of what a competitive profile looks like. Again, just like any other business school, they'll take a look at your holistic profile with an emphasis on your work ex and consistent academic records. You can show that by a good GRE or a good GPA and sustainable good working experience as well. The interview invites are generally sent within 3 or 4 weeks of the submission of your application. For Minnesota specifically, I received the interview invite within 2 or 3 days, which was very surprising. For Fuqua, it took, I think, 4 weeks, and for British Columbia, again, it took 4 weeks. So it generally varies, but you can expect one confirmed within 4 weeks of the submission of your application. Now, coming to the kind of questions that are asked in the interview, they're not stressful job interviews as such. They don't ask anything technical. They are looking more if you're the right fit for their business school. So they ask a lot of situational and behavioral questions again. They'll be asking you your motivations at first, why the business school you're applying to specifically, what appeals to you most about it, why the MSBA degree, what you want to, the kind of companies you want to work for after graduating, what the profile looks like. And after that, they have a lot of questions on that revolve around teamwork and leadership abilities. So they'll ask you questions about the time when you successfully led a team and what you did to help the team achieve a certain goal. If as a leader or in a position of responsibility, you took a decision that was unpopular and it didn't work out the way you wanted it to, what was your reaction then? How did the team respond to it? Questions like conflict resolution, has there ever been a difference in opinion? Standard questions like that. And then they also ask you questions specific to which other universities you've applied to. You may be surprised at this, but be honest. I think a good strategy to answer this might be that you say two names that are at the same or a level above the university that you're interviewing for, and one that might be considered safer as opposed to the university that you're interviewing for. So this sort of sets the tone that you are ambitious and you do treat the current university as a top priority, but you have taken a safe decision in terms of evaluating all your options and making sure that you, at the end of the recruitment cycle, you don't end up with nothing. So that is one difficult question that you may have to answer. They usually end the interview with asking if you have any further questions for them. And I would say make sure that you do have at least a couple in mind, and make sure that they're not just mentioned on the website, information that you can just get from the website. The interviewer is generally, for Fuqua, it's generally a first or a second year MBA student. So they also have been in your shoes, and they can speak to the qualities and the quality of life at the business school, the kind of opportunities that are afforded at business school, and how you would transition into it. It's not necessary that he would have the same profile as you would. So make sure that if you're speaking to any technical strengths in the interview, you're using layman terms and you're not getting too deep into the technical stuff, because they may not have the right background to understand. Another important thing is that they generally have a questionnaire in front of them, so they're taking notes while you're speaking. It may seem that they're disinterested at first and it may seem like a monologue, but don't be disheartened by it, because they're just making sure that they're noting down your response to it and basically what exactly you're saying. And they'll tell this to you before your interview, but it is a bit weird if you're used to having an interactive interview. So keep that in mind as well. For Minnesota, the interviewer again was a student in his second year who was pursuing his master's in human resources. So again, I mean, they're not people who have the right technical experience. They generally want to get to know your behavioral aspects and if you're a good fit for the business school. British Columbia, again, it was somebody in the committee, but somebody who had completed the master's course from the university. So they are pretty conversational sometimes. They can feel like a monologue at times, but yeah, I mean, as long as you stick to what you've mentioned on your SOPs and your resumes, and you answer very smartly the behavioral and the situational questions that they ask you, you should be good to go. So in terms of the specific questions that I was asked, the one tricky one would be the kind of roles I'm looking for and the companies I would look to join after graduating. A good tip for this would be to check out the employment report on the website of each university. so that way you can be sure that these companies have recruited before and they also entail the kind of roles that they came for. So this way you also seem well informed for that question. The second would be if you have ever explained the analytics part of your project at work to somebody with a business facing role, or with somebody who does not have a tech background. So how did you do that? Now for this I would say, maybe if you don't have a lot of work ex, or if you're a fresh graduate, you can be completely honest and say, I have not had the opportunity to do so, but if I was in that situation, how would you explain that? So prepare that answer beforehand. Another question that I was asked was, what is my basic expectation of my team members? I think for this, you have to answer very smartly so that you don't seem too demanding. I think it's important that you just come across as somebody who's very cooperative and considerate and is open to different opinions, because teamwork is at the end of the day all about sacrifice. Other question was about the one time that I actually made a mistake at work, or I fumbled up, and how did I deal with it? What did I do to correct that? Is there any feedback that I received from my manager or mentor at work? Questions like that. So they can be pretty standard. You can talk about anything that you've gone through, even if you're in your undergrad, any professor who has come up to you with any feedback, you can talk about that. One thing would be, another question that I was asked was, talk about the worst project that you have done at work. Now, I mean, this is something that I was not expecting to be asked, but you can be completely honest here and talk about how something that you had planned for didn't go as you expected it to. Maybe you didn't have the right data. If you're from the right same field of analytics, then you know how important data is. So maybe you didn't have the right data for it. The stakeholders were not coordinating enough. Things like that didn't go as planned. So these are the kind of questions that you can look out for. So if you're still in college and you want to get your feet wet in analytics or the field of analytics consulting, there are a lot of companies out there doing really good work. So in India, there are companies like Mu Sigma, there are Fractal Analytics, ZS Associates that has the position of Decision Analytics Associate. So you can definitely try an interview for those. In US as well, there are companies like Cloudera, IBM, SAP, Salesforce that are also really big on analytics. So I would say, if you want to get your sort of some relevant work experience beforehand, before you join the degree, spend a couple of years here, and then you would be you would have the right foundation to excel.